In my speech, I wanted to address my experience with AVID through a letter. Dear AVID, in the beginning of my schooling years, I had always struggled to communicate my thoughts. The main reason for this was because I had a speech impediment and dyslexia. Outside of my home with my family or my special classes, no one could understand my garbled way of talking. When I had to go into my version of the real world, aka classes with peers who didn't have any learning difficulties, I never liked letting other kids even look at my paper because they would say, "You spelled something wrong," or "What you wrote doesn't make any sense." I became more and more worried about people creating an image of someone who wasn't as smart, since I couldn't articulate my observations in such an artful way that my peers could. This bit of self-loathing continued for a while throughout elementary to middle school, where I never wanted to admit that I really did need help. Well, that all changed when I went to high school. That's where I learned about you, AVID. My sister had introduced me to AVID. As I became more familiar with my classmates, it became less of a strain in dealing with certain situations. Over time, my AVID classmates became people I could rely on, since they were familiar faces, helping me feel less alone in my freshman year of high school. My confidence in myself started to blossom in your classroom. TRFs and tutorials were times where I could practice public speaking in a small group, allowing for a natural transition towards becoming more comfortable with talking in front of the whole class. I began to understand that my fears of having to deal with people weren't as bad as I thought it was. Knowing my classmates and understanding that you were creating a supportive environment helped me thrive in school. In addition, AVID helped me create stronger connections with my teachers, fostering a better understanding of where my teachers were coming from. When having lots of conversations with my AVID teachers, Mr. Marks, Mrs. Alexander, and Mr. Blair, all helped me understand how I could be an even better student. It helped to have strategies like SLANT, where I got to know what my teachers expected of me. The ability to talk to teachers about any issues that needed to be resolved allowed me to become more willing to ask for help. This was the case in many of my math classes. When I began to feel overwhelmed with so much math, I would take on the Socratic seminar process of asking a million questions until I arrived at the correct answer or came to a better understanding. The amount of confidence you have provided is surprising, since I always thought of you, AVID, as a way to help improve my grades. But you helped me strengthen my abilities to communicate clearly and be willing to ask for help. Even though in the past I struggled with the basics, like writing and reading, I have come to accept that I'm not the fastest person to finish a problem, but I will take my time in getting the right answer. I would like to say, farewell, AVID. Even though we will be apart, I know you will help support me throughout my life. I can imagine myself having no problems addressing issues with bosses and coworkers in the future. I had always wanted to dream bigger than ever, and with this newfound confidence, I believe in myself and I know I will succeed. Thank you for everything you have done for me, AVID. Sincerely, Anoushka Carass.